Welcome to the Selling Show, where we unpack, repack, and break down exactly how CEOs, founders, and senior executives sell their ideas, point of view, and personal brand to the people who matter most. This is your host, David Newman, and you are in the right place if you want to build market eminence, amplify your influence, and attract high-value prospects, investors, partners, talent, and media opportunities with less chasing and more confidence. Let's go. We are back with another episode, and you are in for a real treat. We have Guru S of Hidden Profits. I just made up a whole new term, Guru S of Hidden Profits. The amazing, the only, the fabulous Stacey Hylen. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, David. This is awesome.
So I was thinking, you and I must go back at least, 13, 15 years, like 2010, 2009?
Ancient times, the before times.
Ancient times.
It was like before COVID, before...
Oh, yeah. It was way before. It was
everything.
The before times.
Yes.
So you have always been so masterful at business coaching and helping regular mortals, helping mere humans find the hidden profits in their business, whether that is as a business owner, an entrepreneur, an expert of some kind. For the people that don't know the Stacey Hylen story, and I feel sorry for them, but for those few souls who don't know, could you please give us a quick professional journey of what brought you to the work you're doing today and some fun pit stops along the way?
Yeah, so I started selling. Since this is the selling show, I started selling in third grade. So I don't know, that's ancient times, but I started selling in third grade, buying things wholesale, selling them at retail. By fifth grade, I was selling B2B. So I really liked that first, check from a restaurant. In that case, I was selling poinsettias at Christmas time.
Nice.
And so I progressed in my sales career, and my dad was in sales. So he always really, we practiced closes at the dinner table, right? Like, assumptive closes, all of that stuff. And so in my last sales position, I was selling equipment to the beauty industry, and it was a very consultative sale, which I like. I know that you're very into that as well, like not being pushy or anything. And what happened is during this consultative sale, I helped her double her business. And so it was like in 1 year, she grew over 200%. And I was like, this is really cool. Because I could go in there and see things in her business that she couldn't see in order to grow it. And so I was like, well, what if you did this? And what if you did that? And actually, there are a lot of the hidden profits that we're going to talk about today. And then, so I loved that. But at the same time, unfortunately, my dad was diagnosed with cancer. And he was diagnosed at the end of September, and he died the day before Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving. So It was like, right? And it was at that point, I was in insurance sales, B2B insurance sales. And that's, I was like, I can't do that anymore. I can't talk about death all day. And that's how I got into selling the equipment on the beauty side, because I was like, no, we can't, we have to talk about more fluffy things. But when my dad died, it really made me sit back and think, like, what do I want for my life? What do I want for my business? And so I really saw that my calling was to help give entrepreneurs back to their families, right? And so, my dad, when he died at 56, and you and I know right now that that's really young, right? Because we're in the 50s. So when that happened, I was like, how can I help entrepreneurs work less and enjoy their families more so that they can, in my case, I didn't have kids yet. Now my kids are in college, but I wanted to set up my business in a way that I could be there when the kids got home from school. I didn't foresee that we were going to have this crazy national level gymnastics career for one of my daughters, theater and swimming for my other. So I wanted to set my business up like that. And that's how, when I got into coaching, it was not going to be hustle, fest that you see going on online.
So there's now, finally, at great long last, there's an amazing book that you have put together. Tell us about the book publishing journey and just a little bit about what we can expect to find in this fantastic book.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give you a little secret backstory about how this came to be. So, this is, as you know, I've been talking about hidden profits with my clients for years, right? And what happened was when the last recession hit, I was at Business Mastery. I was a coach, and then I went on to be vice president of consulting with Tony Robbins. But it was the very first Business Mastery event, and people were scared. And I think there's a little thing going on now as well with all the tariffs and things like that, that people are more scared. So what happened is people spent like $10,000 to go to this event. And this guy stood up and he said, I've tried everything and nothing works. Now, can you imagine saying that to Tony Robbins?
Not a receptive audience for that kind of negativity.
Yeah. So Tony said, okay. And the guy's standing up for coaching. And he said, well, what have you tried? And the guy said like 2 or 3 things. And then Tony's like, well, that's not everything. He said, well, how many times you must have tried a lot of times that if you've only tried 2 or 3 things. And he said, well, I tried like 2 or 3 times. And Tony's like, okay, this is not tried everything and not given everything. What happened? And he said, well, I didn't have enough team. I didn't have enough money. I didn't have enough time. And so Tony said, have you ever seen anybody that's come to this country with less than you and has a more successful business? And the guy's like, yeah, you see them all the time on Success Magazine, Entrepreneur Magazine. And he said, well, so the thing is, it's not about lack of resources. It's lack of resourcefulness. So that's a writer downer, especially for your audience, right? And so when this came into my head, like, it's not a lack of resources, it's a lack of resourcefulness. I was like, how can I be more resourceful for my clients? Because a lot of them at this time were having their money dried up because banks weren't lending money. If you remember back in those days, like the credit lines dried up, so they couldn't get equipment, especially if people. So it was really stressful time. So I said, how can we make more money without doing more marketing, without spending more? And that's how Hidden Profits was born, was from that conversation. And I started digging in and looking at, like, how can we make more money without spending more money?
So there's all kinds of folks listening. There's business owners, business people, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs. I'm guessing that this concept is not for people that are just starting, like their first 6 months in business. They have no clients, they have no presence, they have no nothing. This is probably for more of that somewhat established mid-career business owner who is either hitting a plateau or says, hey, I took this thing to whatever, 1 million, 2 million, can't seem to get it above that. Or maybe even a couple 100,000, and I'm just flatlining, Stacey. I'm stuck. I've been stuck at 300K for the last 5 years. I've been stuck at 500K for the last 2 years, and I can't see my way because I can't multiply myself, and I also don't want to spend zillions of dollars on ads and so forth. Am I right that this is more for the already established or mid-career person?
I've had some people that were newer in business take some of the concepts and they were able to apply it to the things that they were doing to make them more successful. But I would definitely say, the amount of hidden profits that you're going to find is going to get bigger the bigger your business is.
Yes.
It's going to expand exponentially.
So knowing what you do in your coaching and your speaking and your training, where are the first couple of places that you recommend people look for the hidden profits?
One of the easiest ones to do, and this is one that even a new business owner could do, is, want fries with that, right? That McDonald's back in the day, I mean, I don't know when you were a kid, but my mom would only get us like a cheeseburger and we wouldn't get the fries or the drink or whatever.
No Happy Meal for you.
No. Well, it was before the Happy Meal, I hate to say. So like what happened is McDonald's was selling sandwiches, but people weren't buying the fries. So they started, and this is going back, they started saying, want fries with that. And what that is it's an upsell. And this is a basic tenet of business, but so many people, if I look at, 100 businesses, I mean, this, that they're not doing it.
Right.
And so when you have a person ready to buy something, they already have their wallet out. You've already done all the marketing to get them their credit card out. You've already done all the sales process to get their money, like take my money. So that's a really good point to say, want fries with that. Would you like X connects with that. And so you'll see a lot of businesses doing that online. Like, for example, if you've ever registered a domain with GoDaddy, they are the master of the upsell, right? Like, well, do you want to build
You're
your
offered
website?
17 different things from GoDaddy.
Yeah, exactly. But so if GoDaddy can be shameless, so can you. You don't have to do 17 upsells. But I'll give you an example. When I first did this, again, it was with people back in the recession. And there was a guy that he was a new client, and he filled out his questionnaire and he said, I have all these employees and they really don't do anything I tell them to do. And I was like, this is not good. We're going to have to clean house. And when I got on the phone with him, he said, well, they're my uncles and my nephews and people at my church, so I can't fire anybody. So again, I had to get resourceful. Like, I basically had my hands tied. And I said, well, what if we just asked one question? So we looked at what was his most popular product that he sold. And in this case, it was an auto parts store. It was oil filters. And so when somebody buys an oil filter to do an oil change, we said, like, oh, well, have you changed your air filter? Would you like an air filter with that? And we gave them a tiny bit of training of like, okay, this is why an air filter is great to do at the same time. You're going to get better gas mileage, whatever those things are. Yeah. I'm not a car buff. You're the car buff. But what it did is it increased his sales 48% in 1 month from one question. Yeah. Right. So this is the power of the hidden profits, is it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't take a lot of money. It doesn't take a lot of team, or even a team that's like super highly trained to do this and have a real increase for you.
And I want to go back to, because this relates directly to that consultative sales process, which we think, okay, we're proactively going to have a consultative sales process, but then sometimes the phone rings and it's a prospect or even an existing client that says, hey, Stacey, we saw you speak at this event and we want you to come in and do a 1-day training on hidden profits. And so now we're handing the prescription pad to the patient and we have not done our diagnosis. So I'm sure this is part of the training, part of the mindset, that you cannot just let people come in and say, hey, doc, I want the bottle of orange pills, please. It's like, well, wait a minute, have a seat. Let me examine what's going on. The orange pills may be required. They may be the totally wrong thing. They may be required, but not enough, right? So that lends you to a more full diagnosis. How do you get your clients and audiences out of that order-taking mode and have them really do the diagnosis where this kind of upselling and cross-selling would be organic?
Yeah. So the thing is that we need to know, like, who are your perfect clients, first of all, right? What are their wants? What are their needs? And then on the other side is, what are their pains? What's keeping them up in the middle of the night, right? And so if you know that, then you're much more able to then go into consultative selling, right? And one of the things that I work with salespeople, that I generally work with salespeople that are employees of the CEOs I work with. And so we'll say, like, what is your strategic objective for this conversation? And if you know that strategic objective, so the strategic objective could be to book another call. It could be to get X person on the phone next time because they're a decision maker. It could be to find out all the things you need to do to make a proposal. And so once you have this, then you can then create the questions that will help you reach that strategic objective. So I'm always saying, like, strategic objective, what are the questions? And one of the things I always say to my clients is that a lot of times people think talking shows your expertise. But as anyone listening to this podcast can tell, asking great questions shows your expertise. So you can see that David is like a super expert because he's able to dig in and ask the great questions that are going to get the better responses for his listeners and people watching this. And so don't get into ego of like, I need to tell, right? Or I need to sell, right? Like, oh, somebody wants this workshop, I need to sell, which comes from lack instead of from abundance. Yeah. And say, like, how can I ask questions to find out what would really serve this client? And if you come from that service place, you can't go wrong.
Hey, super quick station break question. Have you seen our free executive briefing on elevating your CEO brand? Check it out right now at doitmarketing.com/webinar. And now back to the show. When you first start working with a client or a client company, I'm sure that you do some sort of diagnostic, just kind of look around, get some x-ray vision, figure out, what are, like you said, what are the most profitable products? What are the most popular products? What are the products that might naturally go with other products? Where might there be some room for increasing some prices? When you look at that macro level business, when you first start engaging with one of your clients, what are some of the checklist items that you look at to see where there may be some hidden potential pockets?
Well, I think pricing is definitely one. That's one of the hidden profits, is what I call the fear factor, right? Because everybody's nervous about raising their prices. But a lot of times people haven't raised prices in years. I mean, sometimes it's even a decade, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one of the areas. The other thing is like the number of offers they're making, right? Are they making offers? Increasing the number of offers is an easy hidden profit to get out there with. So we kind of look at a combination of things. So we're looking at like, what are the fast things? Like the hidden profits are very fast to implement, right? Then I'm also backing up and looking at the strategic things, because a lot of my clients, when they come to me, one of the challenges is that they're just like everybody else and they're a commodity. And so we really back up and look at what is the strategic positioning for that client that would then make them couture or become the one in their industry. So it's a combination of the quick wins to get fast return on investment, and then the longer term strategic things, with the strategic positioning, going after their dream 100 and really looking at how can we get better clients, bigger deals. So it's a short and long term wins.
Yes, absolutely. I want to ask you something. This is one of my sort of it's not a peeve, it's a sort of pet area of curiosity. Can you have a pet curiosity?
I guess you do.
I don't know. If so, mine's a little white fluffy puppy, and it's a pet curiosity. The curiosity is this, Stacey. You hear a lot about these like platinum mega offers, right? There needs to be like a super premium version. So I remember this was years and years ago. One of my mentors says to me, "So David, you're selling stuff for like $5,000. Yes. And you have other stuff that's like $15,000 and $20,000. I said, yes. He says, what's the $250,000 version of David Newman? And I laughed and I said, there isn't one. Have you lost your mind? Are you insane? It's like, unless I move into your house and start washing your dog and your car and cooking your food, there's no way that a client can give me $250,000. And he says, I want you to think about that answer again. And so we did come up with this overly complex, like done for you empire builder kind of program. I never sold one, but that's because I didn't take that seriously. There are people that craft these super premium offers, 6 figures, multi-6 figures sometimes. And they do so with this level of incredulousness, like, well, no one's ever going to buy this. They start putting it out there, and then I find that one of two things happen, but I'd love your take on it. Most people take what the main offers are, and they now look much more affordable. And once in a blue moon, you will sell one of those super duper premium things. Try not to look stunned and shocked. What's the role of these mega super premium packages in your expertise, in your experience?
Well, it's kind of setting the buying criteria of like, oh my gosh, here's what this premium thing is. I saw this when I was working for Chet Holmes, author of The Ultimate Sales Machine, partner with Tony Robbins, is that we would do coaching sessions with them. And at the end of the coaching sessions they got with the program, then we would offer them coaching. And so when we would start this, I would say, well, I know we've been working together these last few sessions. This is just to get you through the program, but we have some additional stuff. I don't want to assume anything, but I know that, some of the people really want to work with Chet directly, and that starts at $50,000 a month. So I don't want to make a judgment for you or make that choice for you. Is that something you're interested in? Or are you looking at working, on a coaching package? And so that was setting that pricing like, oh my gosh, $50,000 to start. But the funny thing is I did sell some. And then the nice thing about that is I made more off of those than I did when I was actually coaching the person, because Chet did revenue sharing, which was really nice. So I think that's good. But I think the other thing to think about is that it doesn't have to be everything in the kitchen sink. When I think about my biggest clients, right? And I have clients that are paying, 6 figures a year. I'm not spending hours and hours a week with them, right? Yeah. I'm not spending days a week with them. But what it is, it's about access. And it's also about, like in this case with my clients, they've been with me for, 10 years, 15 years. And so it's about me knowing their business, me knowing what they want, me knowing what they don't want, me knowing their clients, right? And so it's not about, giving them more stuff. So for example, in this case, one of my clients, they wanted, I was going to help them with some AI stuff because I got certified as an AI consultant, but I knew that this person was not a technical person. So I wasn't going in there and showing them every single AI tool and like blowing their mind. No, it was about filtering for the person what would be most impactful for his business so that he could get the best ROI on his time and on his revenue. Yeah. And so that's where I think the higher level things is like Jay Abraham used to say, like you're under the care and protection of another. And that's where I see these high ticket things is you become under the care and the protection of another. And then everything I'm doing, like if I'm reading your next book, I'm going to be like, okay, what are the things for that client that I can pull out of here and be like, this would be a good thing to do. Right? Because they're under my care and protection.
Yes. No, I love that sort of filtering and sorting and pointing out things that they should be paying attention to, but in a very selective, very bespoke sort of basis, because people are mostly overwhelmed, right? We get offers in our email inboxes. We see 100 Facebook ads a day. Stacey, should I go in this direction? Stacey, should I invest in this new platform? Stacey, what do you think about this new AI widget? And there's millions of AI widgets being released daily. But I want to talk about AI because you brought it up, and I find it really fascinating, the combination of business coaching, hidden profits, and the AI layer to that. And plus, you also, in my position, you can't really have a podcast interview in 2025 or 2026 without having some AI component. So we have to go here, Stacey Hylen. We have to go here. So the average person, I want to start with this question. The average business owner in your experience, because you've studied this, you're certified in this, you're in the cognoscenti. How aware do you think the average business owner is of all the different AI capabilities and platforms? Are they aware of it? Are they using it? Are they scared of it? What's the state of the union among the general business population?
The general business population is aware of it, right? Because it's on every news station, every magazine, every website, whatever. They're getting ads 20,000 times a day. But they don't understand it. And they don't, like, if I go in with it, like I'll do a VIP day where I spend a half a day with somebody and we'll actually develop their custom voice, all of that. The majority of them do not even have their security settings on. So for anybody that's listening that is a thought leader out here right now, go into your ChatGPT and take off the setting that says ChatGPT has permission to train the model using your content. Yeah. Right? Like the majority of people don't even have that setting set correctly. And then what they're doing is they're just like prompt vomiting, right? They're like, just help me, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And there's no
give me an article on whatever.
Right. And so with what I do with my clients is we're really looking at how can we do this strategically, right? Not just like everybody else, especially if you're a thought leader, it can't look and sound like everybody else. It needs to look and sound like you. Yeah. And you're just going to be more of a commodity if you just let ChatGPT run wild with your content.
Yes. So most people when you're coaching them, are there opportunities for AI as far as strategy work. I mean, we all know that AI, the first most popular thing that's coming up on 3 years now in November is Chat GPT. And, write me an article, write me a LinkedIn post, help me write this proposal. So it's generating content. Is it being underpotentialized as a strategic partner, a co-CEO, advisor, a processor, or a filter of information and complexity? Where's it being underpotentialized?
Well, I think a lot of times when people want to use it that way, a lot of times ChatGPT is a yes man.
Oh yeah,
right.
True.
And so they're like, Stacey, that's a fabulous idea. You run with that, right? Versus David Newman would be like, Stacey, have you thought about this? What about that?
Yeah.
Have you considered the implications down the line if you price it this way for your other 3 programs, right? And so I think that unless you've trained your chat GPT to really think more strategically and to push back on the things that you're bringing to it, it's not going to give you that good thought partner, strategic planning partner.
It's going to make you feel good.
Yeah.
Just
Go
like
for
that.
it.
Just like those employees that are just rubber stamp. Yes, boss, that's a great idea. Yes, boss, let's definitely do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's go back to the world of hidden profits. If you were to say let's just say we're going to put a little bounty in a treasure chest, and the bounty's worth $10,000. And I think you've written about this, and there may even be a program component in your program around this. What would be one of the areas that a typical business owner could, in the virtual sofa cushions, find at least $10,000 in the next 7 days?
It's the come on back strategy. It is the come on back strategy. And this strategy came about. I had a client who canceled one of his coaching calls. And, we work with high level people. They don't usually cancel their calls. And I said, what's going on? He said, well, I had $100,000 sale. So I was ready to do my happy dance for him. And he said, no, it was not a good thing. And I said, well, what do you mean $100,000 sale is usually a good thing? He said, Stacey, this is the $700,000 mistake because his client had been buying from his competitor for the last 7 years. So the $700,000 mistake is you have clients out there that are buying from your competitors, and it's not because their competitors are better, but it's because you have not gone back to re-invite them into your world, right? So come on back. I had a client who did this in December, which is normally the worst month of the year for her because she's in the weight loss space, right? Nobody wants to lose weight in December, right? We want to eat cookies and go to parties and all the things. Yeah. We want to lose weight, but we don't want to do anything about losing weight in December. Let's be clear. Yeah. And I said, well, this is going to be a hard month to do that. And she said, nope, I'm going to do it. She did the come on back strategy and she increased her sales by 50% and had her best month ever in the worst month of the year for her, just because she took action, right?
Yes.
And the thing is you have a lot of clients that are out there that like you, but sometimes it's like shy, right? Like you go off and you do something else and then you're like, oh, well, I'm not going to go back to that because I went and tried something else. So then they just go and find more and more other things. It's almost like if you go to get your hair cut and you go to another hairdresser, you're like, oh, I don't want to go back to the first one because she'll know I cheated on her with another.
Right.
Same thing with coaches. So you need to say like, hey, it's okay. Come back. Like same with the weight loss. Maybe they gained some weight back. Maybe, if you're a coach or a consultant, the person hasn't grown their business like they want. So they're feeling a little ashamed or shy or whatever. You're like, come on back. I've got you.
Wait. We're not just going to listen to this episode. There are downloads, there are resources, there are links, there are bonuses waiting for you on this episode's page when you go over to doitmarketing.com/podcast. That's right, doitmarketing.com/podcast. Grab the notes right under this episode. See you over there. I want to ask you about 2 specific situations where hidden profits might be, they definitely are a component. One is you had a great client 3 years ago, and you're still doing what you're doing, but you've tripled your prices because you bought Stacey's book or you worked with Stacey or heard Stacey on a podcast. And so you tripled your prices. What used to be $2,000 a month is now $6,000 a month. But great client, they got great results, they know you, they love you. and it doesn't have to be a triple pricing situation, but let's just say a significant price increase has happened, how do you recommend we have that conversation with our old client, our past client?
Well, there's two things you can do. You can decide to give them what I call legacy pricing, which is not your old pricing. You're not giving them your old pricing, but you're giving them like a little bit of a deal because they're coming back, right? So you didn't have to do any marketing. You didn't have to do a hard sell and 12 weeks of follow-up, right?
Right.
So you're giving them a good pricing, or you need to then educate the client about the ROI that's available for them in their time, in their revenue, in their team leadership increasing, right? So you need to kind of show them, the person you were, the service you were, and where you are now, and show them how that is improved. And then also not just about you, but also about them. Like, what can they get out now? Like, what do you see for them? And again, it's going back to asking them questions. Well, Bob, how's that going for you? Like, what's, have you still been making offers? Have you been out there speaking? Like, what, finding out what would help serve them.
Right. Okay. So second scenario, and I think you're partly opening the door to the answer to the second scenario also. Same great client from 3 years ago, but you are now in a somewhat different business, or you've added some different delivery modes or different methods, or you have a team now, or you have some digital AI component to what you do now. So you're basically reintroducing yourself with a new program or a new service that they knew nothing about 3 years ago. Without sounding like, oh my God, what business is Newman in this month? Right? What crazy business did he put on this month? How do we go back to someone with sort of a new identity or a new problem that we're solving based on a great relationship on an old problem and an old solution that we are no longer offering?
Well, I think it's about if it always goes back to the client, right? So I'm hoping that you're not now like doing custom dog crates, right? Like, and then you're going back to the client, right?
Not yet.
Right. But if you're going from like do it marketing to do it speaking to do it selling, then it's a progression, right? And so you need to look at like what is going to serve the client with this new progression of what you're doing and this new up leveling. And it's not about, I'm going to go back to that $100,000 a year client. It's not about giving them more crap.
Yes.
Right. It's about being a filter for them and being like, hey, Bob, I know when we worked together, this was what we have. We've even improved this even more because we're doing this to help you X, Y, and Z.
Right. And I think what you put your finger on something really important in that second scenario, which is perhaps just telling a 30-second story of how you changed and what you changed and why you feel that this is a natural progression from the service that you used to do and the needs that you used to fulfill to now today's level of service and today's level of problem solving, having a backstory, if you will. Just, even if it's a catch-up call, like, hey,
it's like
Stacey,
a bridge.
what's up? What's new? What's happening? You would tell me sort of the progression of here's what it used to be. Here's why it's so cool now. And then maybe invite them to some sort of chat about how you can help them.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, you know that I've been coaching for almost 25 years, right? And so I've been really helping entrepreneurs for 25 years. And now I've added on AI consulting to that. But I'm not like all of a sudden Miss Techno Guru person. No, it's AI consulting in alignment with helping people make more money, have more freedom, giving entrepreneurs back to their family. So everything that I'm doing is in alignment for what my perfect clients want.
Absolutely. And that is a great place to land the plane. I've got two final questions for you as we're coming in for that landing. The final question is, where can people go to connect with you, learn more about the book, buy the book, etc.? But before we get there, my second to last question is, if folks were to take one overarching concept from our conversation today, which was really great, so wide ranging, so many value bombs, what do you hope that one central idea around hidden profits should be?
You don't need to do more, right? It's becoming more resourceful, right? So it's not about going out there and, buying all of these different things and the latest shiny things. It's like you have money right there in your business.
Yeah.
That you can add to your business, put in your pocket, in your bank account, go on vacation, do whatever you want to do with it. But you can't do that if you keep running off after all of these shiny objects. Like, maximize what you have, optimize what you have to get the most amount of profit, most amount of revenue out of it before you go running all around.
Amen. Amen. Now, where can people go to get connected and stay connected to more Stacey Hylen brilliance? Pick up a copy of the Hidden Profits book. What links should go into the show notes for people?
Yeah, you can go to staceyhylen.com, which is my main site. I am Stacey Hylen on all the social media because I'm the only one. And it's Hylen, Hylen, help you leverage everything now. Hylen. Because people can't spell it.
We have over 500 episodes, my friend. I have never had a guest that made an acronym out of their last name.
Yeah, I did that on the back. I was on the motorcycle and I'm like, I need a way because people think it's not spelled that way. I need to
help you leverage everything now.
And it's on brand too, right?
Totally.
Or you can go to moreclientsandcash.com, and this is going to give you a great resource because it has an assessment there to see where you can find that money that's already in your business that you can very easily do without spending more time, more marketing, more money. So it gives you that. It'll assess exactly which hidden profits you should start using. It also has a custom GPT that is trained on the Hidden Profits book. So you can go in there and ask it some questions. So you'll also get notified as soon as the book is out to actually get your hands on the full book. And there's going to be a lot of fun goodies with that and little AI components that are really exciting as well. So make sure you sign up there to get all the details.
Very nice. And all of those links will be directly under this episode at thesellingshow.com. Stacey Hylen, you are a rock star and such a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
And that wraps up another episode of The Selling Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, tell a friend, go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thesellingshow.com. See you next time.